Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you're coming from, welcome back. Today is June 10th, 2025, and we're going to be in the Gospel of John, chapter 19, verses 1 through 27 today. And admittedly, today is going to be a little bit heavier as we see this is where Jesus is sentenced to death and the crucifixion begins. And we get that from seeing, as usual, the daily reading plan. When your reading plan, June 10th, 19, 1 to 22 is what it calls for, but as you saw in the opener there, we're going to 27, and that is because 22 stops in the middle of the story there, so we're going to finish it out to 27. And I hope I can make it through this. Full transparency, this is my second recording because the first one was difficult, so here we go. So this is on the heels of yesterday where Pilate was trying to ask the crowd for who's going to be freed, Barabbas or Jesus. Barabbas is a known revolutionist, committed many crimes. They knew all about him. Jesus had done nothing but good and miracles, but yet they chose to have him crucified. So this is on the tail of that, just remembering from yesterday. Jesus is sentenced to death. Then Pilate had Jesus flogged with a lead-tipped whip. The soldiers wove a crown of thorns and put it on his head, and they put a purple robe on him. "Hail, King of the Jews," they mocked, as they slapped him across the face. Pilate went outside and said to the people, "I'm going to bring him out to you now, but understand clearly that I find him not guilty." Then Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, and Pilate said, "Look, here is the man." When they saw him, the leading priests and the temple guards began shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" "Take him yourselves and crucify him," Pilate said. "I find him not guilty." The Jewish leaders replied, "By our law, he ought to die because he called himself the Son of God." When Pilate heard this, he was more frightened than ever. He took Jesus back into the headquarters again and asked him, "Where are you from?" But Jesus gave no answer. "Why don't you talk to me?" Pilate demanded. "Don't you realize that I have the power to release you or crucify you?" Then Jesus said, "You have no power over me at all, unless it were given to you from above. So the one who handed me over to you has the greater sin." Then Pilate tried to release him, but the Jewish leaders shouted, "If you release this man, you are no friend of Caesar. Anyone who declares himself a king is a rebel against Caesar." When they said this, Pilate brought Jesus out to them again. Then Pilate sat down in the judgment seat on the platform that is called the stone pavement. In Hebrew, it's Gabbatha. It was now about noon on the day of preparation for the Passover, and Pilate said to the people, "Look, here is your king." "Away with him," they yelled. "Away with him! Crucify him!" "What? Crucify your king?" Pilate asked. "We have no king but Caesar," the leading priest shouted back. Which brings us to the crucifixion. Then Pilate turned Jesus over to them to be crucified, so they took Jesus away. Carrying the cross by himself, he went to the place called Place of the Skull, in Hebrew, Golgotha. There, they nailed him to the cross. 2 others were crucified with him, one on either side, with Jesus between them. And Pilate posted a sign on the cross that read, "Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews." The place where Jesus was crucified was near the city, and the sign was written in Hebrew, Latin, and Greek, so that many people could read it. Then the leading priests objected and said to Pilate, "Change it from the King of the Jews to, 'He said, I am King of the Jews.'" Pilate replied, "No, what I have written, I have written." When the soldiers had crucified Jesus, they divided his clothes among the 4 of them. They also took his robe, but it was seamless, woven in one piece from top to bottom. So they said, "Rather than tearing it apart, let's throw dice for it." This fulfilled the scripture that says, "They divided my garments among themselves and threw dice for my clothing." So that is what they did. Standing near the cross were Jesus' mother and his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother standing there beside the disciple he loved, he said to her, "Dear woman, here is your son." And he said to this disciple, "Here is your mother." And from then on, this disciple took her into his home. And that's where we will conclude today with the first half of chapter 19. I hope you have an amazing day. Lord, thank you for everything you did for me and for everyone. I am truly happy forever. Lord willing, we'll be back for the second half of 19 tomorrow and the death of Jesus. Have an amazing day, and God bless.